Hi, as always, thanks for listening. This is Kevin Smith with the IT Transformation Institute, and we're making this video series on world-class IT service management. We're making a series on IT transformation, and we're making a series on some general topics. And it was brought to my attention that I had never properly introduced myself. So I'm making this video today just to tell you a little bit more about the Institute and about myself. So the IT Transformation Institute was founded in January of 2020, and I founded the Institute to continue to do what I thought was vital work around advancing IT best practices, service management best practices, and IT transformation and IT modernization. I've been working in IT for about 20 years. I've been with Front Range Solutions, Heat Software, and Ivanti, and during that 20 years, I had been fortunate to work with a lot of amazing companies and a lot of amazing IT organizations, and what I consistently saw was that people needed help. They needed help on the continued journey of service management. We do have best practices and we have frameworks, but they can be a bit overwhelming. They can be complex. And people are looking for practical, reasonable solutions. So I started developing a framework that I thought was kind of a combination from existing best practices and frameworks, but also what I had seen work, what I had seen in use and work in real IT organizations every day. So I published my first book in 2017, The Practical Guide to World-Class ITSM. And I also continued to do work in service management, service desk, and help desk, but also continued to do some work in IT transformation because CIOs and VPs of IT leadership were looking for some help and some insights into, we know we have to transform IT, we know we have to make IT better, we know we have to modernize IT. Well, how do we do that? What are the things that we should be paying attention to? What should our strategies be? What are the things that we should be prioritizing? So I wrote my first book on IT transformation, The IT Imperative. I published that in 2018. And then I wrote another book on the continued evolution of IT transformation, which is called One IT, One Business. And I published that book in 2019. And I'm currently working on my next book, which I hope to publish at the end of 2020. But I really felt like it was important to form the Institute to continue to do this work on best practices, practical best practices, frameworks, strategies, operating models, how to improve business processes, and that's what we do. You could check out the website and see what our offerings are in terms of the videos, which are 10 to 15 minute videos that give you kind of an overview of important topics, the books, our training classes, and our consulting offerings as well. So that was the last 20 years, and it's been a great ride, and I look forward to working with IT for the next 20 years. I started my career in Houston at the Johnson Space Center with Barrios Technology and their flight design team. It was a wonderful place to start a career. It was a remarkable experience. I was there, I joined them in the 80s, right out of college. I worked there till the mid-90s. I was there about 10 years. I had a chance to work with some remarkable people, including Gene Kranz, Ed Lineberry, Ted Guillory, and many, many more, too many to mention. But it was a great experience as a young engineer, somebody with a passion for technology. Of course, had no idea what I was doing, but learned a great deal. And at the end of my time there, I wrote an application called the Consolidated Planning System that helped optimize the use of resources on the space shuttle and really optimize the time on the space shuttle. The shuttle program was growing at that time. We ran shuttle missions approximately 7 days. And it was really important that we made the best use of those resources and made the best use of our time. but NASA wasn't really leveraging software applications at that time. So this was a revolutionary idea, really, that was created by a number of people, the people I mentioned earlier, and I was fortunate to work as a very part of a very small team to create the CPS. Well, to fast forward, that application found its way into the commercial marketplace. It was an advanced heuristic, and as it turns out, it was a great fit for optimizing supply chains. So me and my application moved over to Manugistics, a supply chain company, and for the next 10 years, I had a great time. I had been primarily a technical person, a developer, an engineer. I worked on flight design, planning consumables on the space shuttle. But then at Manugistics, kind of the big world was open to me in terms of working with businesses on business problems. So for the next 10 years, I worked on working with closely with leading supply chains, leading organizations in every field, and helping them to optimize their supply chain. And in the beginning, that practice was called finite scheduling, which was leveraging this heuristic that I developed during my time at the Johnson Space Center. And of course, there are many wonderful, talented people I got to work with to advance that science, but finite scheduling in the beginning, and then optimizing the full supply chain, demand forecasting, transportation, and much, much more. So that was a fantastic time. I think supply chain really changed the world and how we changed, and really changed how we looked at business. And then following Manugistics, that's when I entered the world of IT roughly 20 years ago. I'm kind of rounding my numbers out here to not bore you with too many of the details. Well, I wanted to share with you that I grew up in Clear Lake City, a small town just south of Houston. Just a great town to grow up in. I was one of 4 kids. I'm the oldest. There are all these funny jokes about what the oldest is like and what the youngest is like. Most of them are probably true. I'm the oldest of my family, but my wife is the youngest of 7. I'll talk about her in just a minute, but I was the oldest of 4. My sister Angie, just great brothers and sisters. My sister Angie and her husband Pardis live in Seattle. My brother Chris and his wife Carrie, they are in Houston, still in Houston. And my brother Paul and his wife Amber and their family are in Littleton, Colorado, just a few miles from our house. And my mom and dad, couldn't have asked for a more loving and wonderful mom and dad. Shirley and Tony, they're still going strong, amazingly, after 60 years, really a great example for all of us. And then I had come to, just a little bit of background, I had come to Denver on an assignment at the end of my time with NASA, doing some consulting at the end of that time. Came here for a couple years, walked off the airplane, again grew up in Houston. Houston can be a little hot, a little humid, as you know. Walked off the airplane, it was a perfect June morning in Denver. The sky was so blue that it hurt my eyes. Humidity was like 15%. It was warm that day, but it got cool that night, and I thought, wow, this is pretty nice. I could get used to this. Well, then the story took another turn because I met a really cool girl, Julie, and we were buddies for a while. But eventually we became more than that. We fell in love, got married, and had 6 kids. She's really an extraordinary lady. And I have no idea how this whole thing played out, but we laugh about it all the time. But we have 6 kids, as I mentioned. Our oldest son, Christopher, and he has just a wonderful wife, Paige, a great lady. I joke with Christopher about us somehow managing to way overachieve with the wives that we married, and that is certainly true in Julie and Paige. My daughter Michaela and her husband Eric, just a great guy. I have just a ton of respect for him. They now live just a few miles from us. Our son Zachary, our daughter Taylor, our daughter Isabella, and our daughter Gianna. All our kids, just an amazing family, an amazing, big, crazy Catholic family. Our kids are talented, they're smart, they're beautiful. You can tell we're very proud of our family. And I joke that another joke we have is I pretty much live my life one step behind the kids. and 2 steps behind Julie, which really sums everything up. We also somehow, again, another use of the word remarkably, have 5 grandkids now. 5 grandkids and counting. Eli, Nash, Joe, and Lily, Christopher and Paige's kids, and then my daughter Michaela and Eric just welcomed their first child, Brody. Their son Brody was just born a few days ago, and we're going to be seeing him shortly. Very excited about that. He's coming home from the hospital, and so that's our big crazy family. That's my story. I hope that helped give you a little bit of background, and I do appreciate you listening to my long story. I love meeting the people of IT. I love hearing your stories. I look forward to hearing your story when we meet, because the people of IT are very much today, and they're very much our future. And the remarkable, exciting future of IT is going to be built around our people. So as always, I know you're busy. Thanks for listening, as always, and I hope I have a chance to meet you properly face-to-face sometime soon.